Hey, hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session of live counter review using technical analysis. So for today, the flow will be same as per usual. So first up, I'll start off with the going through the economic calendar, and then afterwards, I'll talk about the different sectors like um for example the indices and commodities. And afterwards, I'll go through the various sectors like the Max 7, US banks, semicons as well as EVs. Then last but not least, I'll also talk about the counters that you all have. So if you all got any questions, just feel free to drop them in the Q&A tab. But just try to keep it to about three per person, so we give everyone a chance for their questions to be answered. Yeah, so without further ado, I'll begin. So in terms of economic calendar, this week wise, we have quite a few things going on. So tonight, nothing much. Just some employment trends index, 11 p.m. Going to tomorrow, there's some Fed speaks. Some FOMC members speaking. Okay, then maybe something to take note will be Williams. Williams speaking at 7 a.m. Then afterwards, there's the usual ADP employment change numbers at 9:15 p.m. Then the important one tomorrow night will be the CPI. So that's at 9:30 p.m. Okay, then afterwards, going to Wednesday, there's continue to be FOMC members speaking. Um, PPI, there's PPI on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Okay, then afterwards, there's also retail sales at 9:30 p.m. as well. The usual core inventory is at 11:30 p.m. Okay, then afterwards, going to Thursday, so continue to have FOMC members speaking. The usual jobless claims at 9:30 p.m. Okay, uh, then there's also the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI at 9:45 p.m. Thursday. When then going to Friday, there's industrial production numbers, 10:15 p.m. Yeah, so that's it for this week. So the most important events I think will be the CPI tomorrow as well as PPI on Wednesday. That's it. That's the key events for the economic calendar this week. Yeah. Then next one, I'll move on to the indices and commodities. So first one is regarding Bitcoin. So last week Bitcoin there was a breakout of this resistance that it had been trading sideways in the 90,300 level over here. So there was a breakout to retest the this horizontal resistance around 94,000, and then there was a pullback that happened afterwards. So I think now it's just moving sideways, so it's holding this previous resistance area as a support. So I think this week wise we're likely to see this kind of continue, just kind of sideways with the support. Probably we have a higher lows for now. I think it's around like 89,000 to about this 90.3K area. There's some resistance we can see recently is around like 92K above to 94,000. Yeah, so I expect some kind of range bound happening this week, but the range to be higher than last week following the breakout of the 90,000 area. Yeah, in terms of the weekly wise, last week last week managed to hold the 5 SMA on the weekly for continue to hold above that. So currently the now is the 5 and 10 SMEs on the 89.9K level. So that will be, we need to see whether this can hold as support for a further rebound. So that is confirmed with the around the 90,000 area where this is the breakout, this 90,000 area. If this can hold as support, then we could possibly see Bitcoin reverse higher to actually test 94K and above. Yeah, if this holds as a higher low support. But for now, it looks like a bit of a range bound for now. Yeah. Then next one, I'll move on to Dow Jones. So Dow Jones, the price action, I think is still very strong. It looks like a retest. So last Monday managed to break out this 48.8K level, and then afterwards, there was a bit of retest of the 5 SME on Thursday before closing the week quite well as well. So I think for now, it's still quite strong momentum, and generally it's still trading within this uptrend channel itself. So I think then as of now, the resistance probably be around this the swing high last week, 49.6K. And then the next key level will be the 50,000 psychological level. So that will be around the resistance area of the uptrend channel as well. And then currently for support, I think if there's a bit of dip, then the swing lows around like 48.7 to about 49K area, this will likely hold as a support, which is currently around the 10 SMA area for now. So Dow Jones, I think, still looking well in terms of the uptrend. Still forming higher highs. And then next one for Nasdaq, I think it's looking better. I think looks like it's trying to break out this wedge consolidation that I have over here. So it's also tested this horizontal level around 23.7K quite a lot of times, and also higher lows being formed along the way. So last week was pretty quite sideways, but managed to hold. The good thing is they managed to hold at least the 20 SMA level. We had 5, 10, 20 SMA. So it's also forming a higher low. And so I think overall for this week, I think we will expect this 23.3 to 23.5K area to hold as support. And then resistance wise, I think if another break of 23.7K should be able to confirm the breakout upwards to test the 24K area again, which was the previous all-time high in late October. Yeah, so for Nasdaq, I think generally still in a bit of a consolidation, a bit slow, but I think we should be able to see a breakout if it tests 23 point. If it breaks out 23.7K again after the kind of positive price action of higher lows last week. And then next one is the S&P. So S&P had a new all-time high. So in terms of the chart, I think very positive. 6,920 level was the key resistance, and then tested a few times. Then with higher lows formed along the way. And last week wise was a test, and then a pullback towards the 5 and 10 SMA level here, found support, and then closed the week at a new all-time high. So I think most likely we're going to see this uptrend actually continue after this consolidation. So the next level, I think, will be the next resistance area will be likely at 7,000 to about 7,050 area. And then currently for support, I think we'll still hold at the swing lows last week around 6,900 to about 6,945 area. So in terms of the US indices, I think it's still looking well. Dow Jones is strong, and then S&P is, I think, second. Also managed to form a new all-time high. Then a bit lagging behind is Nasdaq, but so that's, I think, is also still positive in terms of the price action at the resistance area. So in terms of the three indices, I think it's still quite strong. Next one, I'll talk about gold. So gold new all-time highs today. So in terms of the price action, I think last week picked up again with a breakout of this, with a breakout above on Monday, with a breakout of the 5, 10, 20 SMEs, and then afterwards the price has been trending along the 5 SMA, this blue line over here. So a bit of consolidation sideways from like Tuesday to Friday, and then today we have a breakout of new all-time high. So I think likely we'll see this momentum continue. So I think most likely we could see gold try to test maybe about the next level. I think will be maybe that 4,650 to about 4,700 area next. Yeah. And as for current support, likely we could find it from 5 SME. Now it's maybe around 4,500, and then at a lower level, I think will be around 4,420 for now. Yeah. So gold still very strong uptrend. Next one is WTI oil. So for oil, I think it's looking a bit better in terms of the price action, where I think there's a break attempt. It's trying to break out this downwards channel over here. So on Thursday there was a break of this channel over here, and then if it can stay above, let's say, the $58 level, I think, which is also this cluster of horizontal resistance over here, as well as the 5-10 SMEs, the short-term moving averages, I think then we could possibly see some further upside to come for oil. Yeah, so for now, I think the next key resistance will be like these highs that we formed in October to December last year, around 60 to 61.5. So that will be the next level of resistance, and then support currently around 58 over here. So it's looking I think it's trying to reverse a bit upwards now for WTI oil in the short term. Next one for VIX, I think it's still relatively range bound. Yeah, so I think we'll be likely still kept this range for now. Uh, yeah, where resistance largely around 17 to 18 over here. And then support for now looks like it's around 14, 15 around here. So just still relatively range bound. And then next one for copper, I think for copper, I think last it managed to break out this 5.88 level, and then it did a still holding a very strong trend where it did a pullback and found support at the 10 SME level area over here, this red line. Yeah, so it's still trending along, still inching upwards along this 10 SME, and likely I think we could see this uptrend continue to form a higher high at perhaps around 6.3 as the next level. So that's for the indices and commodities. Okay, I'll move on to the different sectors. First up, starting off with the Magnificent Seven. Yeah, so first up for Mag 7, I'll look at the ETF for the Mag 7, which is the Round Hill Mag 7 ETF, how the chart is actually shaping up. So this was last week, relative sideways over here, but important thing is that it's still holding the trend line support, this trend line support, this key trend line support, still forming higher lows, and then also close off well on Friday. So I think for that, still a bit of a consolidation in general for the Mag 7 ETF. Resistance still at 67, the horizontal resistance. And I think the key will be to the start of this week. I think the key again will be to see whether this trend line continues to hold as support, which is around the 60, around 66. So as the swing lows last week, which is like 65, 65.3 area. Yeah. So if this area still holds as support, then I think there's still hope for it to try to inch upward to test the resistance again. Yeah. For now, still haven't seen a breakout yet, but I think still a bit of a consolidation. But overall, signs still higher highs, higher lows. And we see how it goes for the Mag 7 ETF. Then first I'll go into the individual counters. So first I'll talk about Meta. Yeah. So for Meta, I think currently still relatively kind of sideways over here. With some resistance from the short 5, 10, 20 SMAs currently. So that's around like $656. And support is still holding a swing low at around 638. So generally still pretty range bound, nothing much happening for him for now. Yeah, then I will expect generally to be a range with resistance for now still holding like 660s to about 670s. Then support generally around 640. Yeah, still range bound for now. Yeah, next one I'll talk about is Apple. So Apple last week, after the breakdown, it broke down this 267 swing low over here. Then it went on to test the next support level. So this was at 257, this previous horizontal resistance level. And yeah, it was also a previous all-time high back then in December 2024. So over here, managed to find some support. Possibly we could see some slight bounce over here, but generally the resistance, I think it might find some resistance from the 5 SMA for now. And generally still a bit weak. So that was about 261 about there. Then the next resistance will be around 266, which is this horizontal breakdown period. Yeah, then if it goes below the Friday lows, which is 256, I think you could possibly see the next level at around 252, 253 to fill up this gap. And the next one will be at 245, the next swing low support. So for Apple, for now, still a bit weak in terms of the daily and the weekly also. Yeah, there's a breakdown of the 5 and 10 SMEs weekly as well. So until I think it gets above the 5 SME, then we could still see some weakness for now, for Apple. Next one I'll talk about is Amazon. So Amazon last week, I think it had it's performing quite well. So I think he managed to break out this horizontal resistance at 236 on Tuesday, and then trailing along the 5 SMA for now. So I think it's relatively strong. Support for now I think will be around this 242, the 5 SMA currently, and also the two lower wicks on Thursday as well as Friday. So I think it could be trying to head higher towards the next level of resistance after breaking of this 236. So the next key levels I think is around 250, which is this swing high form in the first half of November. Then afterwards it will be the next one will be 258 will be the all-time highs. So I think as long as it still trails along the 5 SMA, I think it's still relatively strong after last for Amazon. The next one is Netflix. I think for Netflix currently we're still seeing great momentum, quite sideways for Monday to Thursday, but can still see weakness as trading below the 5 SMA as well as 10 SMA overall, still a downtrend, and also lower lows being formed. So I think with that we could potentially see it continue to go a bit lower for now, with resistance will be around like 90, around like 91, 92 area for now. Then I think the next key support, based on the previous levels, will be somewhere between like 82 to 86 over here. So this was like the swing low support area formed in like January to April period last year. So I think if the price comes to this level, we might see some bounce to come for Netflix. Yeah, but for now, it's still quite weak in terms of the charts. Then another one that's still holding quite well, I think, is Alphabet. So Alphabet last week, I think, quite good. So because in terms of my chart, it broke out this short-term downwards resistance line, and then also another thing in terms of horizontal levels, it recovered above 314 now, which was this like breakdown area over here. It did a retest and then sideways, and broke above it, managed to hold as support, and then afterwards continue to trend higher. So I think with that, still quite good. I think it's hanging around the all-time highs 328 for now. I think we're likely to find some support from the 5 SMA, and then I think we'll break new all-time high going ahead. So currently support is around 322, which is also like a break of this this resistance on Tuesday. So I think overall, if it holds high this support, we should be able to see Alphabet try to extend the uptrend upwards. Yeah, then next one for Microsoft, I think overall still a bit kind of nothing much going on, just kind of range bound support is generally still holding 465 to 470 these recent swing lows. And then the resistance we can see last week still holding like around 480s to about 490. So I think still nothing much. It's just kind of moving sideways over here. Yeah. Something similar to Meta, just nothing much, just kind of range bound. So I think for the Max 7 to sum up, generally we see some still quite sideways, as we can see from mostly still quite sideways now, as we can see from the Max 7 ETF. But there's some that are leading the sector, like I think Alphabet as well as Amazon currently. Then a bit laggards are like Apple. So some divergence in terms of the individual performances. Next one, I'll move on to the financial sector. So I'll talk about this Spider Financial ETF XLF, which tracks the financial sector. So overall, I think it's still very strong. We can see as our last week, still maintaining above the breakout level of 54 over here, and then still higher highs and higher lows. Yeah. So as of now, there's a bit of pre-market a bit of gap down, but I think this week wise, I think 54 here should be able to still hold as a support over here if there's any pullback. Yeah. Then in terms of the weekly wise, could be seeing the 10 SMA around the 54 level as well. So I think that will still hold as a bit of support during the pullback. So we could be seeing maybe a bit of a range, kind of a bit of a range bound for now. Maybe between like 54 54 to about 56 area. Yeah. So for the financial sector. But overall, it's still as long as it maintains above 54, I think it's still okay for this. Okay, next one, I'll talk about the big four banks. Oh yeah. So something to take note of this week as well will be the earnings season is coming back. So there will be the earnings of the financial companies. Yeah, for to take note of. So in general, I think first one I talk about is JP Morgan. So JP Morgan I think is still a strong uptrend in this uptrend channel itself. And then last week some pullback after hitting around the highs of uptrend channel over here. So I think for now, we could see I think for now we could see it's currently pre-market is around like slightly below 320. So I think this is a level that we could find some they could find some support over here because this was previous resistance. Yeah, so we could 320 you could do some bounce over here, and then current resistance could be somewhere like the 10 SMA reach have been holding as support over here that for now with a gap down it could hold as a short-term resistance at 326. And so short-term wise we could see some sideways kind of trading for now. Yeah. Then below 320 the next key level will be like somewhere at 310, 311 over here. Yeah, and then afterwards, there's also earnings coming up. Yeah, so we see how it goes afterwards. Next one, Bank of America in terms of chart also still also a bit of a slight pullback after overall it's like a rising wedge kind of pattern, some slight pullback at the upper end of the channel. So some pullback, and then but I think key support to hold now is still like around 54.40. So this was previous resistance. Then a back test that who held as support. Afterwards, continue to extend the uptrend upwards. So I think for now, this will be 54 will be the support. Then for now, resistance might come from like around 55, 50 here. Yeah, the swing low of last week. And this also the 20 SMA level. So we might see some kind of range bound trading for now before the earnings, I think middle of this week. Next one, Wells Fargo. Yeah, for Wells Fargo, I think also kind of similar. Monday made the highs, and afterwards, Tuesday onwards kind of just sideways. But overall, still strong. As long as it stays, I think above like 93.40, this breakout of this resistance turn support. So this will be still the support to watch out for. And then for now, some resistance will be like close to the swing high was like 97.70. So for now, I think maybe some sideways, and then resistance will be around 96. So maybe 93 to 96 area. So kind of sideways before maybe earnings this week. Yeah, next one, Citigroup also having earnings. Then for Citigroup also similarly just some sideways or pullback after Monday. But generally, as long as it maintains above like 115, 116, I think the uptrend is still intact like in terms of the short-term momentum. So for now, maybe some resistance around like 120, the 10 SMA level. They could do some sideways between 116 to 120. Yeah, so in general, for the financials, if we look at the four banks, I think still strong momentum last week. Monday was very strong, and afterwards, the remainder of the week now just sideways or pullback. But overall, uptrend is still strong, and there's having earnings this week. So I think let's see again how it goes next week after the earnings. Okay, next one I'll talk about is the semicon sector, which has also performed strongly, but I think there's some rotation going on. So first up, in terms of the index wise, let's take a look at the Philadelphia Semicon Index, SOX. So for this, I think still a very nice breakout last week, where broke out this like ascending triangle highlighted in blue over here above the resistance 7,390 over here, and then I did a back test on Thursday held as support. So I think as long as this level still holds, I think we could possibly see the uptrend continue. So this around the 10 SMA level as well. Yeah, so that's why index new highs after a consolidation. Then I'll move on to the individual counter. So first up is Nvidia. So I think for Nvidia, generally it was last week was pretty range bound, but yeah, still just so I think the most important thing will be to see whether this 184 level can still hold or not. Because it previously was break out of this range over here. One 171 to 184, and then afterwards it kind of did a sideways over here. Yeah, then some weakening of the momentum towards the end of the week, where after when you find some resistance 193 around 193, and then if Thursday there was a break below the 5 and 10 SMAs below 187, and then ended the week around 20 SMA at 184 over here. So if it breaks below the lows of Thursday and Friday, also which is also this horizontal level, we could possibly see some weakness start of this week to maybe go towards like 180, 181 this gap over here. Yeah, then the next support below is like 176 around there. Yeah, so in terms of the weekly wise, the 182, 184 area is also quite important because you see on the weekly is the 5, 10, 20 SMA levels confirming the horizontal level break over here. So if this needs to hold as support for the price to maintain the range. Like if it falls below that, then we could possibly see some weakness for Nvidia for now. Yeah, so today will be quite important. Then next one is AMD. So AMD, I think there's so a bit of a weakness for now. So for AMD last week, it couldn't hold this 225 level after despite a gap up on Monday. So afterwards, we can see the price was rather weak from throughout the whole week. When there was a Tuesday, it tested this 215 level, and then afterwards, there's also a breakdown of the short-term SMEs, and they continue to trend lower. So I think for now, key will be to see whether this 200 level can hold or not, this trend line, this short-term trend line over here. Yeah, if it continues to go below that, I think we could see some continued weakness below, because this is also a horizontal level that's tested once, two, three, about the fourth time over here. Yeah, so if it breaks below that, we could possibly see some further weakness towards like to test maybe 195, or next one maybe 187 over here. Yeah, in terms of the weekly, currently also yeah, now it's holding at 20 SMA 200, around 204, 205 there. If it continues to break like 200, then I think generally will be maybe some continued weakness hit. Okay, next one then is TSM. TSM, I think is still performing well. So TSM, another counter that's having results this week. But last week still maintained the breakout of this range over here between like 280 to about 310. Breakout of 310 still valid. Then was just moved kind of just sideways, but still holding at the 5 SMA as of Friday's close. I think for now, most likely you could see support still holding maybe at 10 SMA level now, 313, 314 about there. And then 310 is a horizontal breakout level as well. So perhaps maybe some kind of sideways between like 310 to 330 before the earnings. Then afterwards, we see after earnings whether how the chart looks like. But for now, it's still looking good from the breakout. Okay, then ASML, I think it's still performing very strongly. So for ASML, I think last week we can see that it's yeah, strong start to the week with a gap up, and then kind of just a bit of sideways, and then yeah, Thursday kind of like tried to test the gap around 1,176 afterwards. Then Friday it was a strong open and strong finish. But I think with that, still a very strong momentum. I think we will likely to see support for now at 5 SMA also maybe around the horizontal level breakout, like 1, 2, 3, 5, this might become the support for now. And I think should still continue to form new highs, given the momentum that we're seeing. So ASML still looking strong. Then next one is Marvel. Yeah, so for Marvel, I think generally so it wasn't able to maintain like 88, this 87, 88, this attempted breakout level over here. So it hit about this 92, 93 level over here, and then faced with resistance afterwards, and Wednesday onwards, the momentum kind of faded off. So going down a bit. So I think for now, it could be able to hold this 81 level. So this swing, which is a swing low, as well as potential this uptrend channel over here. So 81 might do some bounce over here, but for now, resistance might come from this SMEs around like 85 for now. Yeah, so we might see some 81 to 85 hold around. Yeah, but if it breaks below 81, then I think we'll be seeing some further weakness towards like 74 again to test this swing low again. Yeah. So for Marvel, some kind of range bound, I think, for now. Okay, next one is Micron, which is still going strong. So for Micron, um, last week still generally trending along the 5 SMA over here, and then last week was, you can see some horizontal resistance at 344, 345 this level. So I think for now, still okay, still very strong. If it breaks above G345, I think we'll see new highs, definitely see new highs going forward. And could test the upper Bollinger Band along the way as well. Currently is around 357. Yeah, so then support wise, I think will be the swing low maybe on Thursday. Also the Tuesday opening price kind of like 318 to 320 level. Also the 10 SMA that might provide a support if it decides to do some like a bullish flag. But if it does that, yeah. So for generally still very strong for Micron right now. And then I'll go through last two, which are Broadcom and Intel. So next one is Broadcom. So I think still kind of range bound over here. The key support to hold is still around 330 over here, which is like a previous support over here as well. So 320 to 330. Then resistance still holding around 355 over here. Still kind of range bound for now for Broadcom. Yeah, then also in terms of the weekly price is still unable to get above 355, which is like the 5 and 10 SMA levels around here. Yeah, so I expect kind of like still kind of range bound this week. But if 330 breaks, then maybe we'll test like 320 or 320 or below like 315. Still a bit to see how it goes after the range. The next one, Intel, which is pretty strong last week. Yeah, so you can see Intel is still trending along the 5 SMA currently. And then I think it's a bit on the high end for now. From my chart, it's like a uptrend channel over here. So currently near the resistance area of the channel, like 846. Yeah, and 46 is also a previous horizontal swing high back in March 2024. So over here, maybe some short-term resistance, but I think support for now maybe it's around the 4250 level, which this was like a swing high and a bit of swing highs over here as well. Yeah, so also maybe the 5 SMA. So if there's some pullback, I think over here, I think it will still be strong and find some support. It might do some sideways over here. Yeah, so that's for the semicons. Generally, it's still quite strong for the sector because you can see the Philadelphia Semicon Index making a new high after a breakout consolidation. But among individual stocks, you can see there's some rotation going on. The big ones like Nvidia, AMD is you can see that there's some weakness, but some other ones in general like Intel, Micron, ASML, TSM, all these are still showing very strong price action. So yeah, I think overall it's still some rotation taking place right now, but the overall sector is still performing quite well. Then next one, last sector I'll talk about before I go through to the questions that you all have is the EVs. So first one I'll talk about Tesla. So Tesla in terms of price action wise, last week was pretty weak. So this was because it broke below this 440 level over here, and then trailed downwards, and then kind of like retested this area, this next previous resistance area, like 417 to about 400, like 428, this area. And then looking a bit better at the end of the week, where it managed to close above the 5 SMA over here, and tested a 10 SMA, but some resistance on Friday for that. So I think this week to watch will be to see whether 440 around here, maybe the 5 SMA, whether it can hold as support. If it can, then we could expect price to do a bit of a continued bounce upwards. Then the next resistance for now, I think is around 457, this horizontal level and close to the 20 SMA level. Yeah, then in terms of the downside, I think downside is quite limited for now because near like 425, I think we have the swing low of last week, as well as zooming out. There's also, I have this uptrend support line as well. So there's two supports. So I think for now, maybe at most kind of range point of view. Yeah, if it tests the lows of last week, I think it will hold. And if it breaks above the highs of Friday, I think some short-term resistance at 457 about there. Then we could go a bit sideways. Yeah, then next one I'll go through some of the EV names. Ping. I expect nothing much last week, just still pretty much range bound. Support is still around 1950, then key resistance still at 21. So I think watch just this range. Below 19 will be like, below 1950, I think will be around, next one is around like 1850, then above 21 is like 22. Yeah, so nothing much. Then next one for new, some moving last week after breaking down this 4.8 level. So I think we could hit a bit lower towards the next support around 4.4, 4.45 over here. And then for Rivian, now just moving sideways, but previous resistance over here at around 18 to 18.5, I think will hold as support. Then some resistance is around the breakdown of this 20.8 level. So that's kind of just sideways. Okay, next one I'll move on to the counters that you all have. Okay. So first one, ABY, your counters are Rocket Lab, C, and Nebius. Okay, let me take a look at Rocket Lab. Yeah, so for Rocket Lab, I think generally it's still an uptrend over here recently. And then good thing is that it's still above this 73, 74 level resistance. Then second time test over here, then afterwards it's a breakout last week. So last week price action was quite good and going upwards, then kind of just a bit of a sideways for the end of the week. So I think for now, as long as right, this 83.20 about there, which is also like the lows, around the lows of the Wednesday to Friday levels and 5 SMA level. I think if this continues to find support, then we could still see the uptrend continue, maybe to test the upper Bollinger Band again. In like 90, now it's like around 91 from there. So still strong momentum. Then in general, if there's some pullback along the way, I think the key support to that will find support is a 10 SMA. So we can see that over here it's tested like twice. That's the support. There's a pullback. So that will be around 77 okay, this horizontal level as well as 10 SMA. So still strong momentum, I think, as long as in the short term, as long as 82, 83, around like this 83 level still holds as a support. Next one is C. Okay, for C limited, generally, I think it's still a bit of a short-term downtrend for now. Then last week we had a retest of the previous support term resistance now at 147. So we can see previous support over here, then held as resistance still. But good thing is that currently, I think some support is still holding at 120, this swing low. So this swing low. Yeah, so just kind of looks a bit range bound for now. So some pullback, I think for now from the 147 level, currently finding some support along the 10 SMA around 133. Yeah, so I think over here, this will be likely a short-term support from this swing, this horizontal level, so which is like a breakdown and then swing high over here. So I think some just kind of like range bound over here, 133. Then short-term resistance maybe around 140, 139 over here, this gap, as well as around the 5 SMA. So maybe some sideways. Yeah. Then if 133 fails to hold, we might see some pullback again towards like 127, 120, this 20 SMA, and then some key reaction levels of this horizontal level previously. Yeah. So I think overall still a bit downtrend. Then recently kind of think just some sideways. Yeah, some pullback after from 147, then we might see some support here, then do a bit of a bounce. Okay, next one is Nebius. Okay, for Nebius, I think it's looking a bit better because after, so generally it's still in the range over here. The key resistance is still previous support breakdown and resistance at 102, 103. But after like a double bottom over here, like at 78, starting to possibly form a bit of a higher lows along the way over here. And then also trend staying above the SMAs over here. So now it's just a bit of consolidation along the 5 SMA. If you can hold 96, this swing high as well as the 5 SMA as support. If here can continue to hold as support, then afterwards it breaks through, then I think we could see some possible upside above that. Yeah, with the next key level around like somewhere around 115, 117, this horizontal level previously. Yeah, so yeah, but for now it's trying to pull a higher low and some support at 96, 97 over here. Yeah, if it holds, then yeah. Afterwards, if there's a breakout, then possibly some upside. Yeah, but if it fails 96, then the next support down back would be like 91 over here. They swing low as well as 10 SMA. So a bit range one over here. But signs are looking better. The next one is Surf Robotics, MP and Coin. Yeah, for Surf Robotics, I think last week it was quite strong, trending along the 5 SMA and then broke above this swing high resistance 14. So I think this will be the supporting will likely be a support for now, which is also near the 5 SMA. Then met some resistance last week around 15.5 horizontal level. So this week wise, if you can break this resistance at 15.5, then possibly we could see it try to test the next resistance somewhere close to 18 again. This swing high resistance. Yeah, so now let's see if 16, if as long as 14 can hold as support, I think will be still quite strong in the short term. Yeah. Next one for MP materials. I think MP materials generally still range bound. The key range still 50 to 65. Then recently, last week, the price action was better as it broke above this resistance at 55. And then also trending along the 5 SMA. So that's short. Last week was pretty good. And then yeah, another test of resistance at 65. So if you can hold a higher low build up over here along the 5 SMA, like around 60, if 60 holds support, then if you can form a build up over here and subsequently break above 65, then I think we could see some further bounce upwards. Then the next key horizontal level, I think, would be somewhere around 70, close to 75, based on the previous levels. fun. Yeah, so that's for MP to see whether it can maintain a higher low here. Okay, next one is Coinbase. Yeah, for Coinbase, I think overall it's still a bit of weakness as it's still generally facing resistance on the weekly. It's like 5 and 10 SMAs are still providing resistance at 245, 260. And then on the daily wise, some bounce from the 230, around the 231 swing low recently. Then but some resistance from like 258 to 265 this area again. So some pullback along the way. And I think yeah, for now I think to see whether still a bit weak, but if to see whether 230 can hold on this level and Friday around Friday low. If it breaks below that, I think we'll see like 231 again to test this swing low again. If it holds there, I think for now maybe some sideways in 238 to 249, 250. Yeah, but generally I think overall it's still looking a bit weak with a lower high bounce and currently still lower high bounce from 231. Yeah, then below 231, the next key support there's a gap and previously around some support at 207 about there. Okay, next question is on SLAI, Solai, then Mara and Riot. Before this, I think okay, the volume is pretty low usually, but recently there's a bit increase in terms of the volume. For the recent price action, just take a look. Yeah, so in terms of the weekly wise, you can still see it's a bit weak. Last week, it's looking a bit better. So, uh, with a break above the 5 SMA weekly. So some reasons maybe still at 1.28 10 SMA weekly. And yeah, 1.27, 1.28, this swing low as well. So currently after some volume came in, then you can see a push above 1.01, this resistance. So short term wise, I think maybe still some resistance 1.28, but support is likely to go at 1.01 and maybe 5 SMA if you catch when it catches up. Yeah, then maybe some sideways for now. Then afterwards, if you can break 1.28 again, next key resistance will be 1.55. Yeah, generally still downtrend, but some short term bounce, I guess. Then maybe see whether you can continue to hold the momentum at a higher low or not. Alright. Mara Mara Holdings. Yeah, so last week, just maintain a range above 9.8. So 9.8 was like a support breakdown level. So let's see whether this can hold. Over here, which is also around the 10 SMA. So last week was just range bound and resistance like 10.7 about it. So yeah, I think you just need to see whether how this range holds, whether if 9.8 holds, if it doesn't, then we could see a reversion back down to like 9. But if it holds, then we see whether it can break 10.7 for some further bounce towards next resistance, maybe 11 point, like around 11.6 to 12, around 12.5 around there. Yeah, then for Riot last week, also holding above like 40.5 level and sideways with resistance still over here around 16 about there. So I think for this week wise, to see whether still it holds support at 14.5, then whether it can break above 16. Yeah, maybe for now still be range bound. Above 16, then potentially we could rally towards like the next key resistance maybe around 18, yeah, for Riot. Okay, then there's a question on silver. Apologies when I forgot to touch on it just now when I talked about gold and copper. Yeah, for silver, I think generally still in terms of trend, bullish trend is still holding well. I think last week I mentioned that the key is to watch the 10 SME. You can see over here during the rally, the generally the 10 SME this red line has been holding as a very important support. So currently it's around close to 77. Then in terms of resistance wise, the 8250 level tested about the third time testing. Then I think most likely we could see a breakout, this consolidation over here to form new highs. Yeah. Then the upper Bollinger Band is also still sloping upwards as well. So I think still follow the trend. And short-term support, I think maybe around 80 for SME as well as a horizontal level. So I think we could still see higher highs to come for silver. Okay, hi Sharon, good evening. Your question is two support and resistance for CoreWeave, Dell, and Microsoft. Okay, so first of all, I touch on CoreWeave. CoreWeave generally, I think is still a bit kind of range bound for now, generally 65 to 85. So resistance wise, I think it's still around 85 to 90, around 91 this area. Then above that, if you can rally out of this range, the next key resistance will be somewhere around 104 this previous level. Then in terms of current support wise, it might be finding some support if from this like short term support line. So support wise, I think it's around 76, 77 around here, which is like the lower wicks over here as well as the SMEs and this trend line support. So that's one support. Below that is this swing low around 70, 71. So that's for CoreWeave. Okay, for Dell, yeah, last week we tested this swing low 117 support. So perhaps we will see a bit of a bounce. But resistance, okay, first resistance could be maybe somewhere around 123, 124, around this swing low, then a 10 SMA level. Then above that, maybe it's around 128, 129, this horizontal level for Dell in the short term. Then support wise, now 117 around there. Below that, if there's a breakdown, the next support will be previous range support over here, like 108. So that's for Dell. And then for Microsoft, generally now still range. Yeah, then support wise, first level is around 465 to 470 this area. Then resistance for now is around 483, then 489. Yeah, below 465, the next support, if there's a breakdown of the range, then will be maybe, I think could be around like 450, somewhere like 451. Yeah, around there. Okay, then there's a question MSI and SMH. MSI is Motorola Solutions. So generally has been still a bit downward trending, recently a bit range, where it's trying to form. The good thing is that a bit of a higher range is being formed now. So when price broke out of 376, this continue hold as support. Then then the resistance for now is at 387 previous breakdown level. So now still range bound. What we need to see is that for the further recovery, you need to hold 376 and then try to break out 387 now. If it breaks above 387, next key resistance will be like 395, then 403, yeah, for Motorola. So generally for now still will be range bound. Then as long as 376 doesn't break down, I think it's still possible for it to rebound a bit higher. Yeah, then for SMH, it tracks the semicon. So it's the FedEx semicon ETF. So for this, I think similar chart to the Philadelphia Semicon Index I touched on earlier, new highs after breakout of consolidation. So I think for now, we could still see the uptrend continue now, with support generally from the 5 and 10 SMEs. Like now it's at 383 might be the support. The next one is GE Healthcare and Carrier Global. Okay, for GE Healthcare, I think overall the uptrend over here is still shaping up really well. So still higher lows. Then also recently break out this range consolidation, 82 to 86. 86 still here holding a support, and we have the SMA is likely to hold as a support over here as well. So I think we still could do a bit of a range bound here, but still looking well. And afterwards, I think it could continue this uptrend upwards. If it breaks above 89, if it breaks above 89, the next key resistance will be like 90, around close to 91.70. Then next one is like 94, around like 94.30. Yeah. So overall, it's still, I think it's still trending nicely upwards. Then for Carrier Global, take a look. Yeah, for Carrier Global, I think it's looking better as of Friday. So this key level was at 54.70. So it was like a previous swing low support. Then after the breakdown, it did a range consolidation, became resistance here. Then there was a breakout of that. So I think we could see some further rebound for this to test like 57.70. Then next one is like 60.5 around there. Yeah, so maybe some further rebound for Carrier Group. Then in terms of weekly, there's also a breakout of the 5 and 10 SMA weekly. Previously was held as resistance for quite a long time. So that's looking better as well. This one is on Visa, CLS, and SEZL. Okay, for Visa, I think generally it looks a bit kind of range bound for a long time. So generally resistance still at like 352 to about 360 area. Today is a bit of a gap down over here. So yeah, to see whether this support can hold at 343. Yeah, so if it fails 343, then we might see it come back towards the next key level will be like 335 around there in this level. So perhaps I think we still largely kept within this range over here, like 335 to 350s around here. Next one is Celestica. So Celestica, I think nothing much for now. Still, general trend is still range bound consolidation and uptrend. Yeah, so I think to watch for it to regain some strength would be to see whether it breaks out of this 312, 313 resistance. Okay, so it just moving kind of sideways, nothing much. If it breaks above that, I think we could see price go back to the higher end range, close to the 350s. Yeah, so for Celestica, I think nothing much right now, just inch bound consolidation. The next one is on Sezzle in. Yeah, for this, the volume is quite low. And yeah, recent trend a bit downwards. And so I think it's to keep it better. So it formed a higher low and held the 66 level. Then there was a break of the resistance at 76 over here. Break out the range, and then afterward, I think it could go on to test. Uh, Here is 80, 85, 88 area. There's the next resistance. Yeah. Above there is like 97 about there. So I think for now, yeah, some momentum to possibly test a higher high in the short term. Then some support might come from the 5 SMA and also above 76. The next one is Teladoc. Teladoc, I think generally is for now still a bit uh, range bound with some resistance still holding like 7.8. Uh, yeah, but the good thing is that some higher lows. Uh, Yeah, so if can let's see whether it can hold a higher low over here 7.3 lah, the 10 SMA and 20 SMA level. So horizontal level. So if you can hold then if it does a bounce, then I think it could be better to try to if there's a higher chance of breaking above 7.8 to test the next resistance at 8.2. Yeah. Then for next one is GameStop. GameStop, I think for now it's also just kind of just sideways. Yeah, so it's like retesting this swing low, so 2150 about there. So let's see whether you can try to hold over here as support. And if you can then could see some rebound upwards to test like 23, close to 23 as the next resistance. But for now maybe some kind of sideways support is around 2080. Yeah, these upper wicks as well as the 10 SMA. Next one's iBio. This one also the volume was also rather low usually. So for iBio, yeah, looking a bit better last week. So we can see that yeah, the price broke out of this $2 around there. Then afterwards held along the 5 SMA, got now some gap up on Friday. So some resistance maybe now 2.8 about there. Yeah, maybe some resistance at 2.8. And I think we'll continue to trail along the 5 SMA. Yeah. Okay. The next question is on NVIDIA, Grab, Apple, and Oracle. So I talked about NVIDIA and Apple just now. So I'll talk about Grab and Oracle. Okay. Okay, for Grab, I think there's still some weakness in terms of the price action since it broke after it broke 550 lah, as a support. So for now, I think still some resistance, some lower highs, and then last week, still some resistance at 5.25 over here. And then another test of the support, so it's the third time it's testing 4.8. So I think there could be still some further weakness if there's a breakdown of this 4.84. Then the next key level will be like 4.48, this swing low lah. Yeah, so for now, I'm expecting lower high resistance, maybe like 5 here might be the resistance, which is like this swing low as well as current SMEs for Grab. Okay, next one is Oracle. Okay, for Oracle, I think I'm more positive. I'm still a bit more positive on it from the price action. Okay, because since the breakdown of this 186, right? This is like I think it's a bearish trap because it was recovered quite quickly. And then also it hasn't really price didn't break below 186 ever since then, which is like been almost a month. Then there was a Thursday, the price tested this level and held as support. And also Friday quickly recovered above this 192 level. So overall, it's still a range over here. Then the key resistance to watch is still around 201, which is this level. So I think if price can break above 201, then perhaps I think we could see price rally upwards, maybe towards 211, then subsequently fill the gap at 217 or above. Yeah, so that's my take on Oracle. Still range bound consolidation, but price action I think looks to me more bullish than bearish. I feel. Yeah. After it has dropped so much, and then also just some of the things I observed recently. Yeah. Okay, next one is on American Express CRDO or COF. Okay, for American Express, I think currently still in an uptrend over here. And today is a bit of a gap down. So I think overall it might find some support, maybe 359 over here. There's some swing low previously, and then I have a upward support line over here. So it might temporarily find some support over here. And some resistance will be like the lows of this like 370 over here might be the resistance for now. So I think maybe some sideways consolidation if 350, 359, 360 holds over here. And for Credo Tech is a range, generally 129 to 176. Then last Friday tested the resistance 156 is swing high. So still range, but if you can break 156 again, then perhaps you could see test the next level at 176 as a horizontal level. Yeah, for now it's just still range bound. The smaller range, 128 to 156. Okay, then COF is Capital One Financial. Okay, for COF, currently pre-market like 229, this level. So I think we might hold support at this level. So this was like the range. You can see over here is a range, previous range, right? Breakout. Then I think now could be like a back test uh from this gap down. So previous reasons, I think we will still likely hold as some support for a bounce in the short term. Then resistance might come from like 243, like this area, this 242, 243. Yeah. Next one, SanDisk, Western Digital, and Seagate. Okay, for SanDisk, I think overall still quite positive. So since the breakout of 285, this was a range, and then you can see strong price action, strong bullish bars, and then last week, and then also trailing along the 5 SMA. So yeah, I think 5 SMA will likely still be the support. Then in terms of horizontal level wise, support now might be around 252. So I'm still thinking that is the uptrend, I think, will still continue upwards. Yeah, with some support along the 5 SMA. And CK. Okay, CK, I think for now, overall, it's still an uptrend channel, but it's been more volatile. So pullback price kind of like tested near the resistance area of this channel and then kind of pull back for now. So I think now the support needs to hold is through those like 275 over here, this horizontal level. Yeah, then currently looks like a bit of a range bound for now with resistance like 308, then 322. Yeah, just kind of range bound. If it breaks below 275, then there could be some downside maybe towards 258 as the next swing low and lower end of the channel. Yeah. So it's a bit this one a bit weaker compared to SanDisk just now. Then Western Digital. Western Digital, I think is still shaping up really nicely. Yeah, the overall could be like an uptrend channel over here. Then recently, the uh last week was we had a back test of this breakout 187 kind of support. So possibly you could see some, I think some rebound maybe to test the next resistance at like 212 and then the 221 highs again. Yeah, so as long as 187 this back test doesn't fail, I think it's overall still okay in the short term. Yeah, for Western Digital. Okay, I have about 2 minutes left, so I think I'll just see some repeat counters. So I will just try to talk about the counters that repeat mentioned. First one is Palantir. Okay. Yeah, so for Palantir, I think for now, yeah, last week I think the in a rebound and then finding some resistance from the 20 SMA level like 184 around there. So I think for now it's kind of just hanging at 177 this horizontal level. So I think this week wise uh yeah, I think this is important level. If it fails like the Thursday Friday lows 174, then we might see it go back towards like close to the 169 170 swing low over here. Yeah, kind of range I think for now. Then 184, I think 184 to 187, I think could still hold as resistance. So a bit kind of range. Then next one I see there's two questions on United Health. Yeah. Then for United Health, I think last week pretty good. Finally managed to break above 338. Then resistance still holding at 352, which is this previous support breakdown. So okay. Now I think the thing to watch, I think hopefully this 338 still holds as a support if it does a back test, which is also around 10 SMA over here. So I'm expecting a bit of a range over here for now, 338 to 352. Yeah, then as long as 338 still holds support, then I think should be okay. Yeah, then Above 352, next key level, I think will be like 362, then 373 about it. So that's for United Health. Okay, it's about 9:15, so I will end the session over here. There's still some questions I see in the Q&A that I'm unable to answer because of the time. Sorry about that, but thanks for all your questions. I will just stop sharing my screen right now. So maybe I'll just share some links. Yeah, just give me a moment. Okay. Yeah, okay, I'll drop the link for a survey form in the webinar chat. So I will appreciate if you can help me to fill out and leave your feedback about today's session. Yeah, if you have anything that you think can be improved on, you can feel free to leave your feedback. If you like the session, also I would appreciate you to leave your feedback as well. Also, if you're new or you haven't joined the Poemstry community, feel free to download using the link over there. And so it's a community on TA. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask over there. And then I'll also post some TA stuff over there as well. And also leave the Poems TA Telegram handle in the chat as well at Poems TA. So you can feel free to join if you haven't as well. Yeah, so yeah, last week I saw some feedback regarding like whether the webinar can be extended to maybe 1 hour. So unfortunately, it can't be done because it will be kept at 1 hour 15 minutes. So originally, if the US market opens at 9:30, we'll try to leave some time before the market opens at 15 minutes. Yeah. So it will be kept 1 hour 15 minutes. But thanks for your feedback. Just to address a question just to address the feedback I got last week. Yeah, so I think that's all for today. Thank you for attending today's session as well as all your questions. And sorry, I'm unable to answer all of them. Apologies for that. I hope you have a good week ahead in the markets, and also something to take note of will be the CPI, PPI this week, and also some of the earnings that starting to come back again, like the US bank earnings, and also like TSM, I think later this week. Yeah, so we all have a good time in the markets, and hope to see you all again in the next session. Yeah, have a good night ahead, and bye bye. Thank you.